Hey YouTube, what's up? So this video is going to be more so of a rant, more so of a freestyle. I don't have anything written down, but I felt compelled to make this video. Despite, you know, being somewhat tired from work, despite having a slight headache, despite being a little hungry, a little thirsty, I felt compelled by the Spirit to come through and just speak on this. So here I am. All right. And here it goes. All right. So in this video, I want to talk about light-skinned mixed biracial mothers with brown-skinned, dark-skinned daughters. And this topic came up for me because of the whole basketball wives reunion, the whole situation with the colorism as well. And I just kind of want to explore this topic a bit more. And I have spoken about this topic here and there, but I don't think I ever really went in depth about this topic. I don't think so. Maybe. Perhaps. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I have called out toxic colorist light-skinned mothers before. But I don't think I've quite completely made the connection with the brown skin, dark skin daughters though. So here it is though, right? So apparently, like when it comes to colorism accusations, a lot of light-skinned mixed biracial women who are accused of colorism like to hide behind either their relationship with a brown-skinned, dark-skinned black man, or either their children who may be brown skin or dark skin, right? And basically making the argument that they can't be colorist because, they are, they had dark skin, brown skin children with dark skin, brown skin black men. And for me, it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily absolve you of colorism accusations. And really, you know, for me, I think that you can be colorist and still have brown skin and dark skin children and still be a brown skin, dark skin black man as a light skinned woman. I think that they can be colorists and that still go on. And I think we've seen this play out before, and I think we all know that it's true, but I don't think we want to really admit it. I don't know why. I don't know why there's so much protection that's going on here in regards to calling out brown skin, well, calling out mixed biracial light skinned women. But nevertheless, this is the situation, right? And also, it's like, well, you don't really get to pick how your children look, first of all. You can have a say in how your children look to an extent because of like who you choose to procreate with, yeah. But you can't really pick and choose the features that your children are going to have. That's just a random random selection. All right. So it's not like these mixed light-skinned biracial women were able to choose point blank how their children look. They weren't. This is just what the Lord blessed them with. And, and the thing is, like, these are their children. So, of course, you're going to love your child, because it's your child, right? That's what, parents do. That's what parents are supposed to do. You're just being a good parent, right? But, many parents have children who were born certain ways that they may not like how their child was born, but they still love their child nonetheless. Like, having a child who was born with like an illness or perhaps a birth defect of some kind. Not saying that dark skin, I'm not saying that it's a birth defect or an illness or anything. All right. But I'm just saying, as an example, you can have a child born a certain way that you don't like, but you can still love your child despite that. And I think sometimes that's at play when it comes to these light-skinned mixed biracial women. And, you know, these colorist ones, they always find their way to dark-skinned black men. You know, when it's colorism involved, a brown-skinned and dark-skinned black man is always in the mix somewhere. Trust me. All right. And when it comes to them, I see them oftentimes either ignoring the colorism or either co-signing the colorism that the light-skinned mixed biracial women perpetuate. And a lot of times I think these dudes, they just, for me, I really just see them as pick-me's. Picking niggas, as I call them. They're just happy to be chosen. They're just happy that the light-skinned mixed biracial woman chose to have a child with them. Or chose to marry them, have kids with them, have relationships with them, whatever. You know, pick-meism runs deep in the black community. It's not just the women who are pick-me's. It's black men are some pick-me's too. Like the darker they are, the bigger a pick-me they are a lot of the times. Again, not all, some. Colorist ones especially, right? They've been so brainwashed with colorism that they think that any female with light skin or light color eyes, loosely textured hair is a win, even though she may look like a foot in the face. It's a win for them because, you know, that's just how brainwashed they are, right? And also, you know, they very much are seeking, you know, validation and perhaps assimilation to an extent as well. And they feel like, you know, this, you know, light-skinned mixed biracial woman can be the key to that, which she's oftentimes not. When everything is all said and done, ultimately they still end up feeling like empty fuck niggas, you know, soulless fuck niggas as well. You know, that's just how it ends up for them. All right. But another thing that these soulless fuck niggas do is like whenever these colorism conversations come up, they oftentimes they try to project onto the brown skinned, dark skinned black women when it comes to like children, right? And it's like, oh, you know, these brown skinned, dark skinned women want light skinned babies with good hair. And it's either they're projecting onto them, you know, what they themselves may low-key want and trying to project onto her, or either they do that to derail conversations about colorism that are directed toward them, right? When the spotlight is on them, then they try to do that deflection tactic and say like, oh, y'all want light-skinned babies with good hair, and try to make it seem like, you know, they just wild and out of control colorists, you know, wild-ass colorists on the loose like they are. And trying to make it seem like it's equivalent. And it's not. We know that it's not. They know that it's not. But they try to find these, make these equivalencies. Like, low-key like white people try to do when it comes to racism. Like, oh, you know, y'all just as bad as us. Hint, hint, low-key, that what they be saying sometimes, right? And that's the same thing when it comes to these brown-skinned, dark-skinned niggas who are colorists. They try to make it seem like, oh, the brown-skinned and dark-skinned black women are just as bad as them. And I just don't think that's the case. And, you know, as well, it's just, like, I just don't get it when it comes to this situation where oftentimes, you know, they can, all of a sudden, they can spot colorism when the brown-skinned, dark-skinned woman's perpetuating it. That's when folks can spot colorism. That's when we can, like, oh, colorism, yeah, like, that's a bad thing. We need to call that out. We need to have a conversation about this. We need to correct this. But when they're doing it, or when the light-skinned mixed biracial woman's doing it, then that's when folks start to be like, you know, it's a preference. You know, we all have our preferences, you know. You know, everything isn't colorism. Sometimes things just happen. Sometimes you're just ugly. Sometimes people are just ugly. And you're right, sometimes people are just ugly, including you. All right. But when that shit happens to you, then all of a sudden you want to cry colorism, though, right? And it be happening in the damn comment section, too. Whenever these conversations come up, then there's always some brown skin, dark skin nigga in the comment section projecting, talking about brown skin, dark skin women want good baby, light skin babies with good hair. And then when someone talks about them as a brown skin, dark skin black man, oh, you can't do that. That's being anti-black. That's being colorist, right? When it affects them, that's the only thing. That's the only time they want to have these conversations, right? When it directly affects them, and they feel a little hit to their side, and they get, you know, even lower self-esteem, right? Low self-esteem, low feeling of self-worth, right? And yeah. And it's something to take note of and to be cognizant of. Another thing that comes up is like these kumbaya moments. It's like, fuck a kumbaya moment. If we having a kumbaya moment, I'm like, okay, come on, kumbaya, come by here. Come by here. Come on, come on. That's what a kumbaya moment is for me at this point. And now, fuck a kumbaya moment. That shit don't do nothing but spread some feel goodery around for a minute, and then it goes back to business as usual. So keep the kumbaya moment, because I think at the reunion it was like, oh, let's not tear each other down, you know, let's uplift each other, let's support each other. Meanwhile, everything you did prior to that was the contrary. So it's, you know, it's just, they're pretty words, but unfortunately the words are empty. It's just pretty words, and you can't really do much with just pretty words. You need actions behind those words, and that's just not happening. So miss me with the kumbaya moment. I'm not feeling it. I don't want to feel it. I'm not trying to feel it. No, it is a no for me. Okay. But back to these niggas for a second, when their obsession with, you know, light skin and good hair, because they low key be fetishizing their biracial mixed light skinned daughters, very much on a like a covert pedophile, covert sexual predator type of thing. Um, yeah, it's very weird. You know, I do, you know, give the side eye to that. And, you know, the biggest sexual predator in the black community are these group of men. And that I do got receipts on that. You know, there are receipts about that too. To be real about that. But that's another video for another day. But for me, you know, this whole situation is very annoying. It's very annoying to have people denying colorism that's like right in your face. You know, that's just so blatant and so obvious, and the bias that exists too. And it's like, it's disheartening, you know. And for me, when it comes to bias, you know, we all have a bias of some kind. We all have some type of a bias. It may not necessarily deal with colorism, but just in general, right? We all have a bias. But the thing is, when it comes to bias, when you are aware of your bias and you can own up to your bias, you're more likely to make objective decisions in regards to what your bias may or may not affect. So in this case, I think if these women were to own up to their colorism bias, then they would be able to function and make more objective decisions in regards to how they treat particularly darker skinned black women, even how they view darker skinned black women. But I don't expect them to own up to their bias. I don't really think it's in their character to do something like that. I think it's in their character to just be wild ass light skinned mixed biracial half breeds on the loose, and to participate in the cucumber challenge. I think that's pretty much what's in their character at this point. And let's see what else I can say. These light-skinned mixed biracial women with the dark-skinned daughters, I just like, and also their daughters, their children, dark-skinned, light-skinned, or whatever, their children are their meal ticket. So I'm pretty sure that they like their meal ticket. Come on, you know, I'm sure they're not going to be giving up their meal ticket for adoption anytime soon. That's right. Let's be real about that. Like, no, they gonna hang on to that meal ticket, you know. So especially if they getting money from these brown skin and dark skin children, like I'm sure they do, you know, love their children even more, right? This shit. And a lot of times these light skin mixed biracial women, they have sort of like this weird fetish when it comes to brown skin and dark skin black men, and I think they like to get with them partially to feel like they're in a superior position. It does, like they're able to express their superiority to an extent when they are with brown skin and dark skin black men, because that's really the only group of men they can really do it with. Any other group of men don't really give a fuck about them like that. Like, you know, it's not that they don't like them per se, but it's just like you ain't all that, you know. But to these color-struck brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men, like, they're everything. You know, they're heaven and earth to them, you know, fuck niggas. So they can get away with, you know, acting that way, you know. And it's just, again, the fetishization, it's really disgusting. And a lot of times you may not really know that fetishization is going on, but the thing is, I think when the kids come into play, that's when things kind of get real. That's when you can kind of see the fetishization play out. Like when the kids come out looking a certain way that the light-skinned mother doesn't like. Like the kids come out looking dark-skinned, looking like him, having his phenotype. And she has a problem with that. I think there was probably some fetishization involved in their relationship, right? And I do think that she low-key views dark skin a certain way. She may not admit it and own up to it. Perhaps it's subconscious, but I think to an extent she does view darker skin as being a certain way. That's not particularly the most positive way, right? And, you know, fetishization does not equal like love, you know, or, you know, it's not positive, right? Ultimately, fetishization is dehumanizing. And considering that black people have been historically dehumanized, you know, that's something that is a little disturbing to think about. Like more dehumanization going on, right? But, you know, that is an issue for brown skin and dark skinned men and light skinned women, you know, light skinned mixed biracial women to talk about. And that's something for them to talk about and advocate for. I know that's not going to happen, you know, because I know that brown skin and dark skinned black men don't want to threaten their access to mixed biracial light skinned women, right? So they're just going to take whatever that comes their way. They're just going to accept it because, again, they're pick-me's. They're just happy that they were chosen, you know. You know, they're just happy that, you know, the light-skinned, mixed biracial woman picked me. She picked me. Thank God she picked me. I was just a pygmy, but then she picked me. Oh, yeah, she picked a nigga, pick a nigga, pick a nigga. She picked a nigga, pick a nigga, pick a nigga. She picked a nigga, 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 nigga. Like, very much just, you know, just a wild-ass, brown-skinned, dark-skinned, pick-me-ass nigga on the loose, right? Ain't no bigger pick-me in the goddamn black community than these niggas, right? That's why it's like a joke whenever, like, these dudes be interracially dating, and it's like, I think like one YouTuber, I ain't gonna mention her name, but she has a whole series about like who they really pick. It's like these pictures of these like dudes with these like non-black women, and then the women be looking like really busted and disgusted, and busting down their spandex and stuff, and being all sloppy and stuff. But that's because of that pick-me mentality, right? That pick-meism runs deep, right? And as well, ain't no bigger coon in the black community than these niggas either. Like, they got the market set when it comes to cooning. Like, they got that on lock. All right. And then, when it comes to the light-skinned mixed biracial women, like, they just be, wild ass, light-skinned, piss-colored, half breeds on the loose, doing all types of colorism shit, perpetuating all types of colorism as well. But that just got me to thinking about something else I want to talk about with this reunion. I feel like these women on this reunion, and particularly like the lighter skinned women, I don't know, they own some like microaggressive white woman mean girl shit. Notice that. That's the thing now. Since they can't really come at OG on a physical level, they're going to do the microaggressive shit, right? They're going to do the mean girl shit now, right? They flipped it around now. Now, they're trying to be like, oh, she's a threat, sequestering her as if she's like as if she's Evelyn. That's who you really should be sequestering if you're going to be sequestering anybody and putting them off to the side and isolating them, acting like they're just, some wild ass animal on the loose that needs to be put in a cage. Based on Evelyn's behavior, I think that Evelyn is the wild ass, wetback motherfucker on the loose. You feel me? And she needs to be, put in the damn cage herself. But of course, that's not going to happen. When it comes to Evelyn, it's like, that's when folks can think of like 1,001 excuses. But these same people can't think of like one excuse for like OG. Right? It's like your bias is showing. Your bias is like, clearly plain to see. And again, it's just something that's not called out. Folks don't want to have the conversation because it's very difficult to have these conversations. People get in their feelings. People start not wanting to own up to their biases. Then we want to get into this whole kumbaya shit when we start having to avoid having real conversations. Like, we're all in this together. We all black. We all black people. They see us all as niggas. We gotta come together. We gotta really come together as a community and work on this. Yeah. And then we do all that, and then the next day, back to business as usual. Okay? And that's a little game that they run too, right? Throw a little niceties your way, and then you shut up. Like, oh, dark skin is beautiful. Dark skin is amazing. And it's not that those things aren't true. I do think that those things are true, but unfortunately, I feel like the words are empty when it comes from certain people. I think they're just saying it to kind of like say something that sounds good and get some claps and applause, and also to sort of sidestep some allegations of colorism. Like, I don't think they're saying that. I don't think it's completely coming from a genuine place when they say it. And it's not surprising. Considering how these women act, it's not surprising, right? And another thing, when it comes to these light-skinned, mixed biracial women with these brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men, I don't know, they relationships, I don't know, it's almost like their relationships are doomed to fail. I don't think these women ever end up having like successful relationships with these dudes. And I guess because the relationships were built on, fetishization versus, actual um, love and care and all that good stuff. And as well, these women end up being left bitter, single baby mamas. A lot of times these niggas don't marry them. And if they do marry them, they don't even take them serious as wives and, cheat on them out throughout the whole damn marriage. I mean, that happened to Amber Rose, that's happening to Cardi B, and a lot more women out there too, right? I know Khloe Kardashian isn't black, I know that, but it happened to her too. So again, like when, these relationships happen, it's like, it's not really, I don't think brown skin and dark skin women are really envying these relationships per se, but just in case they are, it ain't nothing to, to be getting bent out of shape over. Like, you don't really want to be in these women's position anyway. I mean, at most you'll get a good child support check. I'll say that. You get a good child support check, but hey, if you really just interested in the child support check, then just come through and fuck the nigga and then keep it moving with the kid. Don't try to have a whole damn relationship with the dude. Just have the one night stand or whatever. Get pregnant, get the kid, and get the meal ticket and be out. All right, and get your child support check. All right. Yeah. And as well, a lot of these light skinned women are just low key opportunists anyway. They just be going for the highest bidder. The dude that's willing to bid the highest, right? And a lot of times for them, it be the brown skin, dark skin dudes who put the most value on them, who are willing to bid the highest, right? If other groups of men were trying to bid higher than them, then they probably would be with those group of men, right? But those group of men don't see them as valuable. So really, like a lot of times, these light-skinned mixed biracial chicks, like the only dudes that some of them can really attract is these brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men. Like, as quiet as it's kept. So, for them, they want to act like they just got the best thing ever. Like they made this decision versus this decision making them, right? And again, it's not anything to be jealous about or bitter or angry about. It's something to laugh at when you really start thinking about it, right? When it comes to that situation. When it comes to this like blatant colorism situation on Basketball Wives, that's more so annoying. Something to not support. And a lot of people will come through and make it seem like, oh, people are against, relationships that involve light-skinned mixed biracial men, light-skinned mixed biracial women and brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men. And that's not true. I don't think that's really what people are coming at this with. I think people are coming at the colorism that results from these relationships, not these relationships themselves, right? And low key, I think sometimes on some level, I think some brown skinned, dark skinned black women do think that because a light skinned biracial woman, prefers brown skinned, dark skinned black men, that she's like, quote unquote cool or quote unquote down, or they may take it as like, oh, she views dark skin as being positive, It may view it as like a roundabout way of her showing acceptance for her, like the mixed biracial woman's preference for dark skinned men is a low key acceptance of the brown skin, dark skin, black woman as well. And that's not so much the case, you know. That's not so much the case there. I can see perhaps where you would think that, but you know, that is just not how it goes. You know. You know. And one more thing before I go, I think I mentioned this earlier, perhaps maybe not. But again, back to the whole brown skin, dark skin, black men wanting to project onto brown skin, dark skin, black women when it comes to um, light skinned babies with good hair. Because I've seen that play out too, where it's like, oh, we're talking about brown skin and dark skinned black men and, you know, them procreating outside of the community and all that good stuff. But then they want to try and flip the script and put it on the brown skinned, dark skinned black women saying like, oh, they have an obsession with light skinned babies with good hair. I'm like, well, I haven't seen a group of brown skinned and dark skinned black women saying cheers to light skinned children. I haven't seen a brown skinned or dark skinned black woman saying, oh, I don't want a baby as dark as me. I haven't seen a brown skinned, dark skinned black woman saying light skinned mixed babies make the cutest babies or anything. I haven't seen a dark skinned woman saying, oh, I hope my baby has good hair, you know, has my baby daddy's good hair, you know, and going on and on about how good the hair is, quote unquote. I haven't seen that coming from brown skinned, dark skinned black women. I have seen that coming from brown skinned, dark skinned black men. All right. And I'll even put this out here. And I put this out here before. But I guess I can remix it a little bit. I would say, are you more likely to see brown skin, dark skin, black women with children who are lighter than them? Or are you more likely to see brown skin, dark skin, black men with children who are lighter than them? Think about it. Statistically speaking, you're probably more likely to see brown skin and dark skin black men with children who are significantly lighter than them. Why is that? I think that reflects a desire, perhaps an obsession with light-skinned babies with quote-unquote good hair, right? And you know, who's ushering in these mixed biracial children anyway? It's brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men ushering them in, and they love to play this whole like combination of like fear-mongering and kind of like shaming brown-skinned, dark-skinned black women for either being with non-black men or light-skinned mixed biracial men, right? And being like, basically, you only with him for, you know, to get yourself a light-skinned, good hair baby. And I think that's probably what you're with your light-skinned mixed biracial woman for. You know, I think the light-skinned mixed, the brown-skinned, dark-skinned black women who are with light-skinned mixed biracial men are non-black men. I think they're just trying overall just to find, you know, healthy, wonderful, fulfilling relationships in, you know, the start of family and, you know, marriage and the family and all that good stuff. You know, they're just looking for good relationships. You know, they're just looking for a good situation, right? But of course, he's kind of like judging her based on how he gets down, you know, and that's how he gets down. So because of that's how he gets down, he thinks that's how everybody gets down. But no, that's just how you get down. And as well, we have these conversations about, you know, brown skin, dark skin, black women, yet again, when it comes to procreation and procreating outside of the community, right? And like, oh, you're going to be birthing, you know, light skinned, mixed biracial women, fearmonger, and they're going to erase you. Fear mongering, you know, as if they're really concerned about brown skin and dark skin black women's erasure. If they were, then they would be less likely to create mixed light-skinned biracial children themselves. That's not the case. All right. And as well, oftentimes you don't really see folks talking about the toxic light-skinned mixed biracial moms in the community that procreate with the brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men. You don't really see that conversation playing out like that. You don't really, that gets ignored, you know, and it gets ignored because folks don't want to address that situation, because if they do, then they would have to address so much more than just that situation. And I know that, those two groups of people are very weak. They, very much lack strength. They're not strong. They're not what you would want to build a family with. They're very much defective. I don't know if they were born defective or either they just got defective along the way due to their socialization, but they're very defective, and they will not be able to perpetuate anything that is healthy and fulfilling and satisfying. Nothing like that. They will just perpetuate and continue to perpetuate fuckery and colorism and just a lot of negativity, So I think I've said all I have to say for the time being. This video was a rant. It was a freestyle, Sorry about that, but I hope you were able to get something out of the video despite my ranting freestyle being all over the place. But thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. Feel free to, scratch that. No. Feel free to comment. And feel free to, leave your feedback and, let me know what you think about this situation. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now. And one more thing I want to mention when it comes to these light-skinned mixed biracial women who may have problems and animosity toward brown-skinned, dark-skinned black women and may view them as in a certain light that's negative, who may say certain comments about them that are negative. And I'll say this, those light-skinned mixed biracial women, they feel that way about brown-skinned, dark-skinned women and brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men. All right, don't get it twisted. They feel that way about both of them, both groups. But the thing is, they can get something from the brown-skinned, dark-skinned black men. So you're not so quick to bite the hand that feeds you. So for that situation, it's a little different. But ultimately, the truth does come out at one point or another, right? So that's all I got. Thanks for watching.